A horrible accident at a local day school.
A 2-year-old nearly drowned. Tonight he's in critical condition at Vanderbilt.
May 21st, 2008, my son was involved in a near drowning, and for 90 minutes he didn't have a heartbeat.
He wandered off. He was at a Mother's Day out daycare and fell in this sump pump. They couldn't reach him, and they pulled him out, and after several different people tried, and then they had called 911, so they were on their way.
At that point, we heard that there was possibly an infant drowning. At that point, it was a dead run, everybody in the fire hall to get to it. And you hope for the best before you get there, that it's a miscommunication or the call could be wrong in them situations, but it wasn't. It was the worst case scenario. I always seen is people screaming and running towards us with a lifeless body, and it was Erik, and he was just basically, he was just a limp body. When we do get him in the ambulance, everybody's working on him. He's completely lifeless, no heartbeat.
I was being contacted by, of course, the church, friends, family, the hospital. I started calling people back, and they were just telling me basically to meet them at Skyline ER.
From the time we got him in the ambulance, I never took my hands off of him until they was actually working on him at the hospital on the table. It seems if it was yesterday still. I mean, everything's still.
They were still trying to get a heartbeat back. They said, "Do you want to go and see him?" We said, "Sure, of course." I don't think at that point any parents really prepared for that.
All these thoughts of this is probably the last time I might see him, we're going through my mind. Although you're hopeful, you're just, you have to be realistic, and all this crazy stuff's going on. And I just remember all of the, EMS guys were still there. They were still there.
In a situation like that, you can't hardly leave. As a child, you've grown attached, and you feel like they're a part of your life at that point. Even though we had never met him before that day, it seems like it's as if it was your own.
And then some period of time later, I don't know, a few minutes, we were told that they actually did have a heartbeat back. And I thought that would be, hey, everything's going to be okay now. The hard part's over. Really, it was kind of just beginning. So they, at that point, life flighted him to Vanderbilt Children's.
This story is not compatible with life. The amount of time he had been down, 90 minutes or so, is well outside the norm for children you expect to survive.
So basically they just left it with the list of things that were not going well and didn't look good, and they said if we make it through tonight and tomorrow, we'll talk tomorrow.
Little things started to kind of go right for Erik. His heart was strong, and he came off the blood pressure medicines much quicker than we expected. And day by day, he got stronger. His kidneys never failed. Obviously his parents' faith in his recovery never wavered, and we all kind of began to see him get better. I think his family already knew what we had to discover, but the team at that point understood that he was going to be all right.
It was definitely the worst day of our lives. But as I later found out, there was a lot of new technology, a lot of behind-the-scenes work and training, and things that I never dreamed went on that made that day work out perfectly.
Emergency Medical Services for Children is a nonprofit that our goal is to enhance the care that kids get when they're critically ill or injured. And we focus on the whole continuum of care, from injury prevention, so we work on legislation to make sure that kids have car seats at the right ages and the right height. We work with healthcare providers so that they have the right education to take care of different sized children. Only 10% of the typical adult-focused emergency room are children. The EMS provider is even less likely to encounter a child, as only 1% of their transports are critically ill or injured. This low percentage of encounters necessitates ongoing pediatric education for physicians, nurses, and EMS providers to maintain their skills.
The continuing education, like I said, the training is vital to get it over and over and being consistent in what you do.
In addition to provider education and injury prevention, we developed guidelines for personnel in schools to know how to handle emergencies and when to call 911. A great deal of effort has been focused on the inclusion of children in disaster preparedness plans. We have a system of care in Tennessee, so every hospital in Tennessee has designated themselves at what level they have the expertise to care for a child. Tennessee's fortunate that we have 4 in our state. There's Le Bonheur in Memphis, Children's at Erlanger in Chattanooga, Vanderbilt, and then up in East Tennessee is East Tennessee Children's Hospital. So having those 4 comprehensive regional pediatric centers spread across the state, we've been able to build a system that kids get the right care at the right time in their local hospital, and if they need more definitive care, they can be transferred to a higher level of care. Each of these comprehensive regional pediatric centers have a multitude of subspecialists that know about the specific needs of children.
EMSC makes the decisions well in advance of the emergency, which is exactly when those decisions need to be made, not in real time when seconds matter.
And so in Erik's instance, the first responders came to see him, did CPR on him, did advanced life support, transferred them to an outlying hospital, and then once they stabilized him, then they transferred him to a comprehensive regional pediatric center. We want children to be able to be taken care of in their community if the skill level is there for what their needs are, but if they're not, then we want them to be transferred to a higher level of care that meets their needs.
He's alive today, he's healthy, he's vibrant, he's active, he defied all the odds, and he's living proof that if people will just believe in a system that is set up to streamline the process and train people, and all the things that goes on behind the scenes that we don't stop and think about every day because we're just living our lives. There's people out there that just really care about the details so the rest of us don't have to worry about them.
If you just say it's a fluke, then I think the point of Erik's story is lost, which is that if everyone knows what to do, when to do it, and is able to do it correctly, then you can pull off the long shot. You can make the impossible happen. It changed me, really, as a doctor, and I would imagine his story changed everyone who took care of him.
He is just like any little energetic boy full of life. Every time he comes in the fire hall, it's just, it makes it all worth it. I don't care if it's 2 days of training or 20 years of training, that 1 second to see his smile and him playing is worth everything for a lifetime.
The Tennessee EMS for Children is a special organization because they've changed our lives forever. They've changed my son's life forever. And he is going to go on with a ripple effect that's going to, for the rest of his life, change other people's lives. And I can't thank them enough for having such a wonderful organization that they put their time and resources into training the hospitals and the personnel and all the EMS out there. And we just owe them a great deal of gratitude, and we can never say thank you enough.
With the organization supplying the training and equipment, we're so thankful for them and for saving Erik's life.
Everybody that works on EMS for Children just loves children. And we not only save children, we save families.